everybody, it is Kate. I am sleepy, so I'm in my pajamas. The reason I'm sleepy is because it's light outside, and I sleep during the day because I'm a vampire, and not just any vampire, I am a vamp. That was the worst introduction I've ever done. The movie is called VAMPS, with Alicia Silverstone, Kristen Ritter, and Sigourney freaking Weaver. I love Sigourney Weaver. Alien is one of my absolute favorite movies, like, in the entire world. When I realized she was in this, I was like, oh my gosh, it's her! It's her! Our main characters are Goody, who is played by Alicia Silverstone, and Stacy, who is played by Kristen Ritter. And they are both vampires. They were turned by the same woman, Sigourney Weaver, who plays Cicerus. They're STEM, which is the person who turns them into vampires, and the only way they could not be vampires is if Cicerus dies. So Goody was turned in the mid 1800s because she was sick with cholera, and then her husband was dead, and she needed to take care of her kids, and she was like, orphaned kids in the 1800s are not good, so I need to be a vampire. So whenever she was like spared by a vampire, she was like, turn me into a vampire. She turned into a vampire, and then like 100 years later, in the 1980s, Cicerus turns Stacy. But Goody tells Stacy that she's also the same age because she wanted Stacy to feel a little bit less isolated by being a vampire. So Stacy does not know that Goody is 100 years older than her. We also find out that they kind of have a support group of other vampires, but they don't like being called vampires. They like being called extended life forms because they don't kill anyone. That is the whole thing, is that they don't drink human blood. They only drink, like, animal blood, like rat blood, like New York City rats. So it's like, I'm kind of surprised they haven't got diseases. Like, I know vampires don't, but I feel like the rats in New York City will persist against vampirism. There's a support group about vampires who don't drink people's blood because they're like, we don't want to hurt people, you know, like, I don't know why I said it like that. It's a good thing. They exterminate and then they feast. But Cicerus does drink human blood because she's, like, evil. She's a bad person. Bad creature, and no one likes her, but they can't do anything because she's their STEM, so they're like, we can't kill her, we can't get rid of her because then we'll die for their normal age. One day when they're exterminating, they're doing it at a hospital because they do just get gigs around. Goody runs into her boyfriend from the 70s named Danny, and they broke up after like a year because we find out later, but Goody left him because she was so attached to him that she would have to leave eventually because she doesn't age. So she was like, I'm really hoping that he gets a normal life because he can't have that with me. And then Danny's like, you have an age today? And she's like, I'm actually Goody's daughter. So he's like, can I talk to you? And it's like it's really crazy because his wife is sick in the hospital with cancer. And then like they're reconnecting, whatever. And while this is happening, Cicerus kills people. She drinks their blood, and then like they end up dead, obviously. And Mr. Van Helsing, who is a vampire hunter, and he works for the government. He's kind of like Abraham Lincoln, you know? But so he's like, this is vampirism. There is a vampire in the city, and we gotta stop him. So he like goes and like hunts vampires. He kills a vampire in this, and he goes into this random vampire's place, opens his coffin, and just pushes him into the sun.
Morning, sunshine.
It is kind of sad, but it's like, that was like one of the bad vampires. But he's insane. He's like, every time like he meets someone who's like who's not tan, he's like, vampire. They would run a stake through my pasty ass heart. Like, oh my gosh. They also take like night classes. So Stacy's at a night class and she meets this cute boy, and she's like, I like this guy. So like they go back to his parents' place because he lives with his parents. He is a Van Helsing. He is Mr. Van Helsing's son, and he's like, listen, my dad's kind of weird. And she's like, oh, that's okay. So he has like a ton of like vampire hunting gear in his house, and she's like, what's this? And he's like, to kill vampires. He's like, yeah, I know. It's kind of cringe. It's kind of weird. And then his dad comes home, and then he's like, hey, I want you to meet Stacy. Oh my gosh, by the way, his name is Joey. Stacy shakes hands with Mr. Van Helsing, and her hands are cold. And she is pale, and he mentions that. He's like, you're rather pale, and she's like, okay.
Hi, Stacy.
Oh, pleasure.
Nice to meet you.
How do you do?
Tom.
Did you feel her hands? freezing.
As a pale queen, I think I'm borderline pasty, you know what I'm saying? Not even borderline, I'm past the border. But I would be so offended, like, okay, screw you, I know, but don't mention it. Like, immediately he's like, her hands were cold, she's pale, she is a vampire. Joey is like, Dad, seriously? It's just a girl I like. She is not a vampire. And he's like, fine, then bring her to dinner and we'll check. So she goes to dinner with them later. They put a ton of garlic in her food and they're like, how do you feel about that? She spits it out, but she just hates garlic. She just doesn't like garlic. But they're like, aha, another sign. Joey's just like, you guys are freaking weird. Like, I hate my parents. She has to leave before the sun comes up. So she quickly runs down like the side of the building and he looks out and she looks insane. Like, it's not even like Spider-Man level. It's like, you know, and he freaks out and he is not answering her calls. He's not doing whatever, but he doesn't tell his dad, which is good because he knows that his dad would kill her. So he doesn't say anything and she's like, oh my gosh, I ruined it. So she's like trying to get a hold of him. Like literally like the next day she goes to the college campus again and she's like, hey, I don't eat people, I'm a good person. And he's like, he has like garlic around his neck and a crucifix and she's like, that doesn't do anything. But he's like, okay, and he just is like fine with it now and he's like, okay. And she's like, cool. I think I would have a bit more of an aversion to this. I would say, okay, we're done. And I would move. I would move somewhere where it's always sunny. Maybe Philadelphia. Oh! I hated that. So stupid, dude. Right when I thought of it, I was like, this is ridiculous. Danny are connecting more and talking whatever. And they're at like a convenience store and there's a robbery. So she like stops it and then this guy, like one of the guys is so scared, like one of the patrons at the convenience store gets so scared he has having a heart attack. She bites him and does something like where she has like certain things in her fangs that do something with the heart or something. I don't know. I forgot how they explained it, but it's fine. She saves the guy and he's like, so she like makes everyone forget except for him because she's like, I think he deserves to know the truth because Diva, I've been lying to him since the 60s. Or like he doesn't, well no, she's only seen him now. She didn't see him for like years. They go to like a restaurant, they go and she's like explaining everything to him and being like, the reason why I didn't is because I'm so in love with you and like you deserved to have a life with someone that wasn't just a few years because like I would have to leave anyways because I'm a vampire and I didn't want to tell you. And he's like, oh, okay. And he becomes fine with it, which is pretty cool. And then he's like, listen, I hate the government because he's like been an avid protester since the 1960s. And because all of the vampires are getting like audits where they have to like go in for like tax stuff or like for like jury duty and certain things like that. The reason why they're all getting it is because they're trying to find vampires, but I'm not sure if that was just like a coincidence that they didn't fully explain it, but it's because they're vampire, not because they're vampires, but it's like they're trying to weed out who's a vampire or not. So Danny goes with all the vampires during the solar eclipse. They schedule all these meetings during the solar eclipse to cancel all their records, being like, you don't have to do this, 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 whatever. It all works out and it just kind of shows that Danny still really cares for her and is not scared off by the fact that she's a vampire. And then at the same time, you find out Stacy is pregnant and Goody's like, oh no, because we find out also that she'll lose the baby because she's a vampire, so she has to give up her vampirism, which means they have to kill Sisterus. And if they kill Sisterus, she'll age to being like 40 and Goody will age to being dead. Goody still hasn't told Stacy, so Stacy's like, yeah, let's kill Sisterus. She also just kind of sucks. And she also killed Sisterus also killed an entire takeout restaurant, like an entire Chinese takeout restaurant. So it's like all the patrons and the chefs and stuff. So Goody goes to Mr. Van Helstein's house and is like, I'm a vampire, but I don't kill people. She's like, Stacy really loves Joey, your son. Joey really loves her. You're gonna bring a grandfather. Can you please help us? So he's like, yeah, I love killing vampires. Of course I'll kill another one. No, but he does it because he cares about his son and he's like growing on the idea of not hating vampires. They all go to where Sisterus is. She is in like a mausoleum, sort of. Joey uses a chainsaw and cuts off her head. They throw her head into the, what's it called? Not a coffin, but it's like the stone ones. Is it a coffin? I don't know about coffin, but I'm choking on these words. That was bad as well. They put her in there and then this is the stupidest part and I love it so much. Her body, she like turns into the skeleton, like so her head attaches to the skeleton body. All I was thinking of Spy Kids whenever they fight the skeletons. I know I should be thinking of Jason and the Argonauts, but no. I grew up on Spy Kids and that's what I thought of. They fight her again, they just kind of knock her out and it's like the Minecraft skeleton breaking sound, it's like and then they scoop up all of her bones and the head and they close it, whatever. She dies, and then Stacy ages till 40, but she looks really good because she's never goes in the sunlight. And then Goody turns into an old hag, and everyone's like, ew, you old lady. I'm kidding, but they're like, she's like, you lied to me. And Goody's like, yeah. So they're like, do you want to do anything before you die? And Goody's like, I want to go to Times Square and eat food. Because she hasn't had food since like the 1800s because whatever, vampires like don't eat or they don't taste it or whatever. Or it's like not as satisfying. So she eats a little bit of food, and then like she has like the memories of her children from like the 1800s, and then of Danny, and then she like says goodbye to Stacy, and then she turns to, oh my gosh, I'm actually crying. Oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. Then she turns to like dust. It actually is sad. Like, oh my gosh. No, this is embarrassing. No, it's not like horrifically sad, but it's just like so sad because it's like you grow to like love these characters, and Alicia Silverstone is a diva and an amazing actress, so you're just like, I love that character, and then it's just like, pfft, she's dead. But then it time skipped for a little bit, and Stacey has her kid, and she has vampire teeth, and they named her Goody. It's very sweet. And that's literally the end of the movie. I really did enjoy this movie. Like, it's like one of those movies where it's very unserious. It was written and directed by Amy Heckerling, who also directed Clueless, which is why quite a bit of the same actors are in it. And I'm kind of surprised because a lot of reviews are very negative about this movie. They just don't get that it's camp. It's obviously not like the most amazing movie ever, and the plot is pretty predictable, but it's still good in my opinion. And also, this is like right up my alley. I love like rom-coms that don't have like an insane plot that you're like on edge about, and it's like the main fight lasts like like the last few minutes, so it's like there isn't really a incredibly serious thing. And I think that's why it lost a lot of people, because they're like, oh my gosh, this is literally just Clueless with vampires. Oh my gosh, it fell short for me. This sucks, whatever. And it's like, sure, some of the stuff is a little silly and over the top, but like I personally really like that type of stuff, and I will defend this movie because okay, adored is crazy. I really liked it for what it was. I'll just say that. There are lots of things that could be changed. There were a couple things that were like offensive jokes. Stacy is trying to prove that she's not a vampire, so she spray paints herself a darker color because tan doesn't work on her. And it's supposed to be like, oh, isn't it so funny that she's a darker color? And it's just like, it didn't land. That's kind of it. I don't have a ton to say. I liked it, and that's, you know, it's very middle of the road for me. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, because if you do not, you're going to be bitten by a vampire, and then you're going to immediately burn up in the sun. Bye!